The history of the United States is rich, diverse, and filled with fascinating moments, but sometimes it can feel overwhelming, so let's break it down and explore some key moments that shape the nation in a fun and engaging way. Let's dive into US history with some surprising and fun facts that you might not know. 1. The first English settlement. Did you know that the first successful English settlement in North America wasn't Jamestown? It was actually Roanoke Island in present-day North Carolina. Established in 1585, the colony mysteriously disappeared, and to this day, we have no idea what happened to its settlers. This mystery is known as the Lost Colony of Roanoke, and it's still a topic of speculation. The Declaration of Independence wasn't signed on July 4th. We've all heard that the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 4th, 1776. But here's the twist. It wasn't actually signed on July 4th. The Continental Congress approved the Declaration on July 4th, but most of the signatures were added later, some as late as August 2nd, 1776. So, the date we celebrate isn't the actual signing day. 3. The White House wasn't always white. Everyone knows the White House, but did you know it wasn't always white? The White House, originally known as the Presidential Mansion, was made of sandstone, which naturally darkened over time. After being burned by the British during the War of 1812, it was rebuilt and repainted white to cover up the scars from the fire. Hence, it got its iconic name. 4. Abraham Lincoln loved cats. Abraham Lincoln is often remembered for his leadership during the Civil War, but did you know he had a special love for cats? He had 2 pet cats, Tabby and Dixie, and he was known to be incredibly affectionate with them. In fact, Lincoln would often invite them into meetings and even let them roam the White House, which was quite a contrast to the more formal environment of the time. 5. The US has never had a national language. Despite common belief, the US does not have an official national language. English is the most widely spoken language, but it was never officially designated as the national language. In fact, the United States has a history of being quite multilingual. In the 18th century, there was even a proposal to make German the official language in some states. The first American flag wasn't red, white, and blue. The first American flag was made in 1777, but it wasn't the iconic red, white, and blue flag we know today. The original flag, designed by Betsy Ross, had 13 alternating red and white stripes, but the stars were only white and arranged in a circle, symbolizing unity. The colors red, white, and blue, however, didn't officially become associated with the flag until the late 18th century. 7. The first U.S. Census took place in 1790. The first U.S. Census was conducted in 1790 under President George Washington. The total population of the United States at that time was about 4 million people. Now, the census is taken every 10 years and helps shape everything from government representation to funding for schools and infrastructure. 8. The U.S. has 5 territories. While most people know the 50 states, did you know the US also has 5 territories? These are Puerto Rico, Guam, the US Virgin Islands, American Samoa, and the Northern Mariana Islands. These territories are not states, but they are under US jurisdiction, and people born there are US citizens. The 19th Amendment wasn't just about voting rights for women. While the 19th Amendment, passed in 1920, is famously known for giving women the right to vote, it was also groundbreaking for racial equality. This amendment helped to change public perceptions about gender roles and women's rights, but it wasn't fully effective until decades later, when voting laws were further refined, particularly in regard to African American women in the South. The 10th U.S. presidents have lived in the White House since 1800. Although the White House wasn't completed when President John Adams moved in, it has served as the official residence of every president since him. Adams and his wife Abigail were the first to live in the White House when they moved in on November 1st, 1800. Since then, every president has lived in the iconic mansion, which has undergone numerous renovations. 11. The U.S. once had a state called Franklin. Before Tennessee became a state, state in 1796, there was a brief period where a region in what is now eastern Tennessee tried to declare itself an independent state called Franklin. This was in the 1780s after the American Revolution, and despite having its own government, Franklin was never recognized by the US or foreign powers and eventually faded away. 12. Benjamin Franklin invented the glass harmonica. Everyone knows Benjamin Franklin as a founding father, but did you know he also invented the glass harmonica? It was a musical instrument that used glass bowls of different sizes to create beautiful melodies when